And then in 2003, there was this amazing program, almost 1,000 devotees. My Ananda got initiation at 15 years old. It was very, very like... And then that was the first time I actually had Srila Narayana Maharaj's, our Gurudeva's darshan. And I remember I got into the lecture room and I sat just like I'm looking at you now. I could sit right in front of his eyes, and then I kept looking at him like this, and I started. I noticed that he was looking back, and then I thought, no, I'll keep doing it, and like I'm looking at your eyes now, I'll keep doing it. And then I would look to one side. The place was filled up with people, and then he's just looking at me. And then for me it was, I can't describe what came in my heart, because is it describable? It's not describable, you know. Just. And then after that, what I had in my mind was always, when can I have that experience again? What can I do to have his association? And then by Krishna's mercy, and of course I would say from my constant praying, I could go to Europe in 2006. And in my mind the plan was to have the chance to have his association. It was very, very, very important for me, you know. Even now it's very important, because now I have smarana, Guru Smarana, right? Of having had a little bit of association in India, and then the international festivals in Europe, and many miraculous things happens. Like I'll tell you just a little bit. Like I had been married for almost 30 years when the whole thing started, and I didn't know how I would be able to renounce, you know. I had no idea, you know, no strategy. And then he took over. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj, our dear most Gurudeva, he stole the heart of my ex-wife. You know that? That happened. She was the first one to have his darshan actually in 1996. When she came back to Brazil, she told me, I met this Narayana Maharaj. I was shaking all through his lecture. I don't know what to say about him, but I know he's different from everyone else except our Prabhupada. And then I was, okay. And then after the relationship got deeper, and then we simply went apart. You understand? We went apart, and no friction, just friendly. My god sister, my god brother, and here I am, having your association, you know, and seeing how, by the mercy of Srila Gurudeva, the mission is going on, right? And also I have realized how Srila Gurudeva is so much important for us, for all of the Vaishnavas around the world, because he is the one who gets us together. He has this tremendous power of uniting people, whoever they are, no matter, never mind the institution, never mind anything. He's always so compassionate and kind, and he's always, even now, I think even more so nowadays, he's still blessing the whole Vaishnava family.
Was telling me a lot of things, and also everyone was telling me to read books, and the trouble with reading books is that a lot of them said that women were not intelligent or less intelligent. Like, let's face it, that is a problem. Like, I was like, I'm not joining this religion. This is really, like, seriously, women get like a bad enough rap in life. Why the hell would we join some kind of misogynist movement that is about women being less than? And actually, that, just to digress, that was something that Gurudev never ascribed to, never ever. Like, and he actually pointed out, and I can't remember exactly how, but if you do, stick it in so people can see, is that he explained that the way that the text had been written, or the way that they'd been translated, and there was a few commas missing, that like in some of the ISKCON books, that it was basically saying that women were pretty much less intelligent or weaker, or and he explained in detail how they weren't, and I felt as a woman that he never judged me for being a woman. He never put me down in any way or made me feel in any way weird, or so he was amazing from that point of view. And I felt that he really did give unconditional love, and it wasn't just like a religious kind of love. And I think that's really why he really softened my heart. So and he basically said, one of the things that he said right at the beginning, and I'll go back to my story in a minute, is that about mercy. And he was saying that Radha gives unlimited mercy, and that it's only up to us what container we take. So she's giving this unlimited mercy, and it's up to us what pot we could take. And I was like, oh great, I'm going to take this big pot. Yeah, it's like, give me some mercy, please. And the thing was with Gurudev, though, that he said he was a pot mender, because most of us have pots with holes in them, let's face it. So even if we think we've got a big pot, or even if you go with the tiny pot, it still has holes, because we have all sorts of, like, what I'd sort of call Western issues, like, self-worth and different sense of belief. So you don't go to someone and go, oh yeah, I'm worth it, because that's pretty much the size of your container is saying, you have to have an ability to think that you're that you're worth that. And I saw a lot of people just couldn't manage that. They couldn't bring the big enough container, and it doesn't matter. But, the mercy's still there, and Gurudev was here as a pot mender. That's what he said anyway. So he was there, and I've really felt that because he imbued this unconditional love. And
I had first heard of Srila Narayan Maharaj from Srila Prabhupada. By the time I joined, Prabhupada had already departed, but I was made aware he indicated he had two godbrothers in India that he trusted, and that was Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Narayan Maharaj. So straight from the beginning, when I became a devotee, my intention was to go to India and search out these two elevated Vaishnavas. So originally I spent 2 or 3 years off and on with Srila Sridhar Maharaj in Navadvip. In 1986, at this point, Srila Sridhar Maharaj had become so old and so unwell that you really couldn't get any access to him, and he wasn't speaking publicly. So I really had a strong desire to make a personal connection with an elevated Vaishnav. So I left Sridhar Maharaj's mat by train in Navadvip and traveled to Mathura with the intention of meeting Srila Gurudev. And what I remember about that, I was praying fervently the whole train journey to Mathura that Gurudev would accept me as his disciple. I hadn't even met him at this point. So I arrived in Mathura, and of course the first thing that happens, the first thing you notice maybe when you meet Gurudev, you notice he has blue eyes. Was a little bit unusual. Beautiful blue eyes. But also I was struck at just how youthful Srila Gurudev looked for his age. At this time, Gurudev really wasn't so confident with speaking English, so when he would speak to me, he would speak in Hindi to Madhav Maharaj, and then Madhav Maharaj would translate for me. It was also at this time that Srila Gurudev first asked me to learn Hindi. The other thing I remember from that initial visit, it was during Kartik. So Srila Gurudev every morning was speaking, and he was also singing Damodarastakam in the morning. And I was only familiar with the the melody. They say that ISKCON temples would sing Damodarastakam, and it actually never even struck me that you could sing Damodarastakam in a different melody. So when I heard Srila Gurudeva chanting Damodarastakam in the morning melody at Kesavji Gaudiya Math with all the brahmacharis there, I was absolutely astounded. I thought it was the most beautiful kirtan I had ever heard. And it was then that I thought, I know so many devotees in the Western world who would absolutely love this. And this is where the idea hatched that I need to do something to broadcast this. And of course, later on, this kind of became the books by which we popularized Srila Gurudeva.
Uma vez a Ramá chegou para mim e falou, Damodara, bota uma roupa, né, Vaishnava. Eu, ela bota, Gurudeva vai gostar, Gurudeva vai gostar. Aí eu, ok, ele vai gostar, beleza. E ele estava lá, na casa da Ramá. E eu botei e desci a escada. Ele parou, não tem necessidade, né? Pura misericórdia. Ele parou e falou, muito bonita, gostei. Sim, sabe? Comprovando que as coisas que a gente faz para ele, ele aceita. Qualquer pequena coisa ele faz, ele aceita. Outra coisa meio engraçada, meio constrangedora, foi quando Gurudeva estava na casa do Sundarananda, em São Paulo. E aí todos os devotos estavam conversando com ele, falando suas questões. Ele ia para o quarto, mas ele estava meio que ok, fala rapidinho e tal. E aí eu fiquei sentindo assim no meu coração e vendo um buraco preto. E eu fiquei muito angustiada. Eu fiquei, nossa, não tenho nada. E fiquei olhando para ele falando, nossa, não tenho nada, olha só, tem um buraco preto aqui no meu peito. Não tem nada, tá vazio, tô vazia. Daí fiquei pensando, poxa, Gurudeva, você tem que preencher, por favor, preenche com uma potência, né? Mas de Bhakti, mas eu não falo inglês. Então eu pensei assim, como é alguma coisa, é uma potência, um poder, aí eu soltei um power. Aí Gurudeva me dá poder em inglês, e aí os discípulos olharam pra minha cara assim, tipo, nossa, olha essa menina, entendeu? Tá pedindo poder com um devoto puro, mas não era nada disso. E Gurudeva foi muito amoroso, olhou com ternura, entendeu completamente o pedido que eu estava fazendo, que não era aquele em palavras, mas era do meu coração, e entendeu? E recebeu.